Hi there, and welcome to my art room and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's lovely to have you join me for a bit of stitching, a bit of planning. This is my quilt of gathered things for the Roxy's Journal of Stitchery Volume 8. And today I'm going to be adding the 5th prompt, which is lacy doilies or lacy things, lacy gathered things. And that sent me down a good rabbit hole. But before I get on to that, I just wanted to share with you something that I have been working on. And these were my old pieces of quilt that were really perished, and in some places a bit more perished than I'd probably like. But anyway, I'm still going to use them because I like the colours. Excuse me. But one of my lovely friends who also follows me, Carolyn, who we met in Ballarat, excuse me, sorry, croaky voice, she sent me a message after my last video and said, had I ever thought of, aligning these old pieces of quilt with some Vilene, and I have, or Whisper Weft or something. I have this very fine one that I've used for so many other projects, Carol, and I can't believe that I just never thought to use it and what a difference it made. So I unpinned them all that I'd done, ironed this on because it's got a sticky backing on one side and just the fabric on the other, ironed it onto my squares, and it made a huge difference to the strength of these doilies. So it's great. All my bits of, not doilies, patchwork bits, all my bits are now stitched on with some invisible stitching, some of which you can't see, but I've gone around the edges like I have on other pieces. I've started to do some canter stitching to attach them. Where's the other bit? On this side. On this side, I'll get there. I'm going to hang it up on the window again in a minute. But yep, I'm happy with how it's looking, and you can see on here this was the wrong side, and I just decided, I actually pinned it on accidentally upside down and went, oh yes, that looks good because that's not as faded as all the rest. I've used some of my Laura Ashley. I've made some little hexagons out of my Japanese fabrics. I had already started to attach some lacy bits just because they were a doily more than anything else. So I'm going to go back to working on that. I haven't done any of the thread painting on this piece yet. Still intend to, just haven't got around to it. But these are my main areas that I've worked on. Mostly Japanese fabrics in these corners. So before I pin it up on the window, and I'll show you what I'm doing with that, I just thought you might like to see some of the bits and pieces that I've been picking up, gathering up out of my stash. Everything's going to tip over there on the side. Prior to me working out where I wanted to put them. I'll leave that bit there. So yeah, so some of you may have seen some of my videos of my dyeing, and if you haven't, you can go and check them out. But I've been always really keen to dye old doilies, and especially these crocheted ones. But I've collected some other bits and pieces. These are little flowers that Willie's mum has been crocheting for us. These are the little bits, that are in between when the doilies are joined together. These little bits here. So all I've been doing is going through my bits and pieces, looking at the colours that I think will work on this quilt. This is a piece of edging where I'd cut out all the little doilies and just left it a bit probably bright blue in some spots, but yeah, these darker blues will look good. Lots of these little bits. Where can you see them? You can't. They're here. Lots of these little bits, bit more of that edging that I thought will look good peeking out. One complete lace doily. As I said, a bit bright, not sure how it'll work. I'm sort of putting it up near, these flowers here. Probably not really. Maybe the darker colour might be all right. Anyway, I'm going to hang it up on the wall in a minute so that I can see what it looks like. This is a piece of broderie anglaise that's been dyed. I do have some plain ones, just in case you're wondering. I'm not going to add all colourful ones, but yep, there's some nice plain ones. I've got this gorgeous piece of tatting lace. It's a trim, really not necessarily a doily, but it dyed up beautifully, a bit variegated, so how much of that I'm not sure I'll use. Another full doily with some old raggy bits, still nice though. And yeah, I thought this was a good way to add some nice bright colour to this, because I felt like it could do with that. That's a pretty one. It's got little hearts around the outside edge. I had one with butterflies on it somewhere. Piece I've had for ages and ages. Gorgeous one. Another one, another full doily. How much of these I'm going to add, I don't really know. Another bit of tatting, a bit of blue tatting, bit intense in colour. These are all dyed with Procyon dyes, which is a chemical dye that reacts with salt and soda ash, and have been washed and rinsed and washed and rinsed. So while they still may have a little bit of colour come out, it shouldn't dye anything. And really, I'm probably not going to be washing it all that often. So I'm fairly confident about using them. And another piece of a lace trim that I thought was quite pretty as well. It's got some of that orange colour in there. So yeah, they're my bits and pieces that I've collected so far. I still have plenty of plain ones that I'll most definitely use. I've got a piece of crocheted lace here that was like a tray cloth or something, nice and fine. So that one might get used. It looks like it's been done with a crochet cotton, definitely hand done. Yeah, cool. So that's where I'm headed. I'm going to go now, and I'm going to hang this up on my window, and I'll come back to you when I start thinking about how I'm going to place it. Because this quilt is one, a single cloth, it's harder to see when it's down here on the table, because I can only see sort of small portions of it, and I'm finding the idea of hanging it on the window and standing back and seeing just where there's some spaces and gaps now that I'm starting to fill them up, where they might need a bit of extra, is really helpful. It's a really good idea to do. Karen from Railway Cottage Studio, she does hers that way. She does magnificent big quilts, and I can see definitely the benefit of hanging it up and stepping back and really looking at how it's going to look. It's, this isn't a quilt that's going to hang on the wall, so probably not as necessary as a wall quilt, but you never know. It's going to hang over the back of the couch, I think. Cool. All right. I'll come straight back to you. Okay, so I've hung it up on the curtain, and I've started to lay a few pieces on the quilt. I'm standing back just so you get a bit of a view. This piece down the bottom here, I don't know if I can point to it. There's my finger coming. Doesn't, oh, there. Nah, it won't let me. I can't. Oh, here we go. There, that bit there. It's folded because I'm not going to use, I think I'm just going to use the center piece out of it. So it's a doily that I think just not the very center, but the next sort of couple of rows out. I'll cut that, I think. I've sort of draped one white lace doily there. I didn't want too much of the dyed doilies. I don't want them to overpower because it's quite strong colour, but I'm happy with, I think, the pieces that I've added. I've added a bit of blue down the side there and a bit of blue up the top there in that sort of dustier blue. The bright blue I tried didn't look any good. And I still want to add some more cream and white lace to lace doilies to it. I've got a few pieces on there, already had them on, but I quite like the texture, so that needs to still happen. A little bit of dyed lace right up the very top there. So I'm going to put it back on the table and start pinning it in areas so that you can see what I'm doing with that. Okie doke, sorry, it's a little bit wibbly. Okay, back on my table. And I just thought I would, before I started stitching on this one, that I would show you what I was meaning about this one that I'm going to cut. So I just think, well, I mean, apart from anything else, it's not a complete doily, but I think I'm just happy with this circle. So just looking at it here, where I'm thinking it's going to go, it's going to come in around here somewhere, and just, yeah, I think that's enough. I'm just going to cut along the edges. What I find with these crocheted ones, that they cope with being cut. They're really just a series of knots, and they will, you know, they don't keep fraying. Somebody's beautiful crocheting, but I'm going to enjoy it forever sitting on my quilt rather than tucked away in a drawer somewhere smelling of mothballs. Not in my house, but you know, some people protect them that way. I probably have in the past, but no longer. Not that I really ever use mothballs. I think my mother-in-law did, but I don't think I ever did. I didn't like the smell of them. But I know that, you know, it was a thing that people did. But, yep, I'm not going to do that. I've found a thread that I'm hoping will be an okay colour. It's probably a bit more orange, but rather than get too hooked into it, I've got a perle cotton somewhere, and I know that it's in sort of that pale orangey apricot-y colour that my lovely friend Helly gave me, and it's somewhere because I've used it, and just, you know, it's going to be in in a project bag somewhere where I was using it on something and I've kept it in there and I can't find it, but I would probably like to use it for some canter stitching. Yeah, see, you know, that's enough. I don't know which is the right side and which is the wrong side with these. Sometimes a bit tricky to tell, and it probably doesn't matter too much. Bit of deterioration here. So what I might do is put it down here where there's a Suffolk puff, but it's just going to break up that little bit there, and that Suffolk puff can come, not Suffolk puff, what is it? Hexagon. It can probably hang around in there for a bit. might be another one. But this cancer stitching, I thought in an orange thread. I've got some blue, and I found this one, which is fairly dark, and it might look okay, but it certainly is the same colour. Cool. All right, so that's where I'm headed. Threaded up my needle. I'm just going to pin it in place so that it doesn't wriggle around. I just can't see my little pins, which is a bit annoying. Trouble is that I've got a couple of projects on the go. I've been doing an online course with Anne Kelly, and which is why you haven't seen me for a few days, because I got a bit involved in that. So that's all right. I think the little pins are with that project. I'll eventually share what I've done. It's not a process to be shared in this platform because it's a course that you buy. And you know, while I'm happy to share what I've done, I won't be sharing any processes. Cool. All right, that looks all right like that. I'm still leaving these red thread and pink threads in because I want it to stay, you know, in place without getting any puckers in it. I just find with one piece of cloth, it's harder to maintain that. Oh, excuse me. Gosh. And I'm not going all the way through. So with these little tacking stitches, I'm just going in to the first layer and the wadding. I can just feel that. I mean, I can put my hand in there and make sure that it doesn't go through. But, oh, that's a bit of a big stitch. What am I thinking here? Goodness gracious. That was a whopper. No, I don't want whopping stitches in it. I only want little ones. Well, it's Friday afternoon. It's another week has gone. Gosh, I don't know where the time's flying along lately. It's you know, the middle of August, or it's nearly the end of August. And I just don't even know where this year's gone. It's just had skates on. We've had unbelievably gorgeous days. Sun's been shining. Last weekend was rainy, but Saturday we had, you know, hailstorms and things, and then Sunday night we had really low temperatures, and it, you know, put snow back on our snowfields, which we, you know, had started to disappear. Not that we have, you know, the snowfields that Europe have, but we do have where we live. There is a mountain that gets snow on it, and it's probably, you know, it's not your Swiss Alps or anything, but it's fun for families. And the snow disappeared really quickly this year, but it came back with a vengeance. So everything was white on Monday morning. Not that we get snow, but it was a big frost. We don't get snow this low, but it's not far away from where we live. Kind of, you know, the bottom of it probably. So we do feel the effects of that weather, but gorgeous days, like beautiful days. Great for getting the washing done. Oh, did I go through? Yeah, maybe I did go through on that one. Yeah, I don't really want that. I don't really want that orangey colour on the back just yet, and in a messy fashion. but by putting my hand underneath I can feel that it's not going all the way through. The thing that's going through is when I start doing the cancer stitching, so you can see here, which then starts to quilt the layers together. Yeah, and I don't want these little tacking threads to go all the way. I quite like this one. It's sort of got a bit of a almost mauvey purpley colour in the middle. And don't ask me how I did it. I can't remember. It was might even have had a bit of purple on it. I don't know. Never can remember what I do sometimes. When I'm painting the dye on, I get different colourways, and that's the beauty of having a hand dyed thing. You don't ever repeat the same thing twice, that's for sure. Now I need to rearrange the desk here. I'm not good at stitching upside down or sideways. I need to have it going the way I need to have, the way I'm going, in the direction that I'm stitching. Just not good at it at all. And I find it difficult to have on my knees, and it's so big. So it's on the table. And it's getting caught, the thread's getting caught in those big pins. I wonder where that little packet is. It's got to be somewhere. It's got to be somewhere. I hope you're having fun with this project. It's lovely to see so many people on the Roxy's Journal of Stitchery Facebook page that are sharing their work. Lovely to see the different things that people are coming up with. It's amazing, isn't it? We can live all around the world, and some of us have almost I've seen a couple of doilies that I go, oh, I've got one of them. And you just go, how did that happen? From one side of the world to the other. Or must have been a design that, was purchased and people stitched it. I don't know. Brought it with them. They came here. I don't know. But it's amazing how that can happen when they're, new fabrics. You can understand because they're, the manufacturers will probably export and import to different countries, but when it's a handmade thing, you wonder how that can happen. Incredible. Good. Well, I'm nearly there, but I was just going to show you what I was going to do with those other bits. If I can get there. Some people have said they like watching the stitching. Some people have said they like watching the planning and the layout. So trying to please everybody sometimes is a bit tricky, but hopefully we get it there. We get it right. All right, I'm going to come down through the middle here, because what we don't want are people getting, things caught in it when it's a lap quilt. So with these ones, they need a bit more stitching. And I'm really just picking somewhere where there's a gap in the lace, not no real rhyme or reason. Yep, sorry, going quiet. Oh, we've got junior football grand final Sunday. So that's one thing that's happening for the weekend. So that's exciting. Under 12s. Gosh, he's got a birthday coming up and on the 1st of September where he'll turn 11. I can't even believe that he's going to be that age. That's one anyway. A 13-year-old, they played in their semi-finals but didn't make it through any further than that. So that's a bit disappointing for them. But they did great to get to that point because lots of teams didn't. And then I need to find out about the basketball because the other grandchildren will be playing basketball finals probably fairly soon too. So I need to get in touch with them and work out when that is. But this is the first of them on a Sunday, and we'll be travelling through to Melbourne for that. Cool. So also by having your hand, underneath, you can feel when there's like a pucker that gives you that bit of that chance to sort of prevent that from happening. And once I've done this, I'll just see whether it needs any more. I'm not 100% sure because what I've done is sort of just gone crossways with it. But there's still sort of these loopy bits here that I think would benefit from having a stitch put in them. Okay, I'll bury this thread in here, and then I'll go sort of like forward and then backwards on itself in the same place, and that way I'm avoiding knots. I haven't wanted to put knots on the wrong side, and burying them underneath here is just another way of getting rid of them on the top. Good. All right, now that darker thread, that pearl cotton that I was going to use, what did I do with that? Here. Well, it's not really a pearl cotton, it's a funny thing. I actually don't know what it is. It's got a twist in it. The pearl cotton is, but it's single. You can't split it, so it'll behave like that, like a pearl cotton does. Now, like I said, I just can't find that other one, and I'll see how this looks. If it's too dark, I'm just picking a needle with a bigger eye, just so I'm not demented about it. Oh, yeah, I think that might be right. And then if I repeat it throughout, then they'll be good to go, I think. That's one I dyed, so it's going to be, the dyes are going to work together because, well, even though they're mixed and they're at different consistencies, they're still the same dye colour that I've used because they're just the one I've got. Oh, that eye is not going to be friendly. I don't know. No. We're not having that one. Be here for all day. Let's try this one. I just don't like them when they're too thick a needle. I like a decent eye, but I don't want the needle to be so thick that it's like using a poker. Goodness, don't want to go in that one either. Let's try a different one. All right, one more. This is very short, this needle, but it might be all right. Isn't it awful when you just can't get it threaded? It's even worse, me knowing you're watching me try to do this. All right, I think I got it. Cool. All right. So when I've been using these coloured threads, like I've used a blue in some places, and I mean I've used the white and the cream as well, I've buried the knot on the front under something. All right, let me see what I want to do here. I think so I'm going to bury it in here, and then I'm going to come out there somewhere. All right, pull it in, so tuck it in. Good. All right, let's see what this orange does. It may or may not. So I'm going all the way through this, because this is basically the quilting. And when I go sort of to the next row, because I'm going to come in and go up, I don't go all the way through, because that's like a messy looking stitch. So I've just gone between, because I've come a long way, which is funny just having one stitch, but I think it'll cope. And like I've said, this is mine, so it will be, that's a bit crooked, I think it's just caught up. Yeah. All right, and again, not all the way through. And if you're worried about straight lines, you could rule it with, you know, a heat friction pen that you can iron out. I'm not worrying about having straight lines. I find that I just tend to go straightish anyway. If you've got sort of like something to line yourself up with, then it makes it a little bit easier. But if it goes a bit wonky, it doesn't matter. I'm not worrying about it if it goes a little bit wonky. If I've got a couple of odd stitches, it's fine. So I'm just going to come past where this is here. It's standing out, that's for sure. And then I'll go back. And then what I've been doing with other areas of the canvas stitching is, if I feel like I need to extend it, once I've added more things around, then I just extend it. But I don't want to go beyond it for the minute, just yet. Yeah, so, you know, it's got a bit of a wibble there. But really, once it's done, you're probably not going to notice. And eventually, wherever there's the main cloth, where there's nothing embellished on it, it will have the canvas stitching. I'm just doing some in advance. I mean, some I have already covered up, and that's just life. Because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with it, and that may still even happen, I don't know. All right, so by going close to the edge here, I can bury this inside. So just flipping the cloth back and burying the knot inside the wadding. I'll get rid of it. Good. All right, well, I think that looks pretty good there. I'm quite happy with that. I'm going to add probably some yo-yos, but because I don't know where I want to put it yet, and it's just sort of hanging about, it's loitering because I don't really know where I want it to go, and there might be more than one. I feel like I want to do a bit more of this canvas stitching, but I'm thinking, do I want it to go around this? I'm going to just try that and see what it looks like. Do I want it? Sometimes if I don't know, I'll just like add the stitching. No, I'm not going to make it go around. I'm going to make it go straight up there in a long line like that, so that it's given this a frame. All right, I'm going to come in here again. I can just about take this pink thread out of here, but I'm not yet until I've done this, because canvas stitching can pucker the layers. And my preference would normally be to work from the inside out, and that will help to avoid that situation. But for this one, I don't have, I don't need to. I'm not ready to go from the middle to the outside edges. I haven't got what I want in there yet, so that's why I'm leaving all of these basting stitches in, just to help keep it under control. Except that my thimble catches on it. Oh, I lost one of my thimbles. I had two of these. Very disappointing when you lose things, but I think it's gone. I think it's gone for good. How much of this thread have I got? Yep. So you can see what's happened is that I've cross-hatched it a little bit, and I quite like the look of that too. And it might be that I come back and add more. I don't know. It's one of those things that seems to be just evolving, and I add things as I get to them. Yeah, I think I prefer this to going tracking around the shape of it, because I was going to do it on the cloth. I mean, I could still do it on the doily itself, because that would just give it a bit more strength. All right, how does that look? Wonky lines, but that's all right. They're wonky lines. They're fine. Good. Maybe I feel like does it need another one? I don't know if it needs another one or not. Maybe not. Maybe we've got enough there. All right, I'll do the same thing. Bury the end of the thread in here somewhere. Going forward and back just means it won't pull out easily. Good. All right, that's that one done. That's down that bottom corner. I'm happy about that. I'm thinking that I need to add a bit up here somewhere, and I'm wondering if there's a bit of this that I could add. Maybe I'm not going to do that. I'll see what needs to happen here. No, it's this blue bit that I'm going to have a go at next. Cool. It's going around the corner. It was a corner piece of doily. Sorry, I'll just try and flatten that out. But I've left this hanging because I didn't know if I needed something to tuck under, and I'm pretty happy that that's tucking under there. I probably could do with some blue thread, couldn't I? Can I see any right in front of me? No, I've got the thicker thread, but no thinner. I'm still here. I haven't gone far. I think I might use this grey. It just might disappear a bit better than if I got a blue thread out. And I'm just going to tackle it the same way. I've got this fat needle. Yeah, I don't know what I did with my thimble. I don't know whether I lost it in transit when we were travelling backwards and forwards to Hervey Bay. Aeroplanes and bags, and you know, could have easily just rolled out of a pocket or something. I don't know. That's annoying because I liked having two, because it just meant that I had them, you know, in different places. So I'll just have to shout myself another one. But they weren't exactly the cheapest thimble. They're a clover one, but I really like. Half the time I walk around with it in the house. I don't even remember that I have it on. It's very comfortable to use, but it certainly helps. And because it's got those things that you can adjust the size of them, it's a very handy one. I found it accidentally. I think I got it in Spotlight, but like I said, it wasn't a cheap one. But I like to use a thimble, but I like to use one that I can still feel like I've got a bit of control with. And this one seems to work like that, which is good. All right, doing the same thing, not going all the way through to the back, just going between the layers. So I've got a little bit of work to catch up on. Just all of my pieces are stitched down. They just don't have the extra, like probably what I would call canvas stitching, just to make sure that they're really secure. Sorry, because this is a, where are you? Because this is a lap quilt, I want it to be secure. I have talked about it. I'm sorry if I repeat myself. I catch myself doing it every now and then, and I go, oh, I think I already said that. So if that's annoying, my apologies. Sometimes when you stop and start videos, you forget what you've said, and in particular if a little bit of time's gone by. But today it hasn't. It's been, I've just stopped and hung it up and started, and yeah, other days there might be a few hours in between, or days. I haven't stitched this all down. I've put just some little strategic stitches in it, simply because I don't know if there's going to be something else. And I'm glad I didn't stitch this one down, because I think this looks better under there. But I'm not 100% sure if I should stitch this all down. So what I'm doing is I'm stitching close to this doily, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to just stitch in, you know, not right on the edge, so that then if I feel like I need to add something in behind it, I've still got that opportunity. I mean, you can unpick it. I mean, really, with this sort of stitching, you could cut it and it probably would still be okay, because you're going to be putting other stitching over the top of it. But this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave that edge open there, and I'm just going to trek back along here. And that just means I can get rid of the pins, and it won't go anywhere until I'm ready to put whatever else is going to be there. Whatever the next prompt brings to our table. 5 already. Incredible. And I'm trying to leave a bit of space on mine so that I've got the chance to still add some things if I need to, but it might be a case of coming back and adding more, if there's smaller prompts, I might be coming back and adding more doilies, more fabric, and I suspect that I will, irregardless of what the prompt is. I probably will want a bit of fabric, maybe around it, under it, or whatever. Cool. All right. Well, I'm pretty happy with this colour. It was just in my stash. I think it's still hitting the brief. Happy to have a bit of hand-dyed stuff. I mean, some people use Inktense blocks or Inktense pencils, and I'd be just very careful about, making sure you've rinsed it and really let it. Apparently, it sets the longer you leave it. I haven't tested that. I just know that the Procyon dyes work, and I have them, so that's my choice to use them. But if you're going to use something else to dye lace or doilies or whatever you're using, I'd make sure that it was well and truly set and you've tested it, that it's not going to bleed if you have to wash it, or even if it gets wet, The person that sits on it and spills their coffee won't be invited back, will they? After all this work. Cool. And that'll be my husband probably, as he's notorious for doing it, so he's not having it on his knee. Just as simple as that. Probably wouldn't want it on his knee anyway. Good. Okay, so that one's down now too, and I've left it, so that I can still add more. And it's, there's still quite a bit. Probably there'll be something else here, and it could be just fabric. My favourite Japanese ones. I'm going to think about these. I put 3 here, and I just have to give that a bit of thought, because while I like the 3 together, I just don't know if it's too much. I've left this willow pattern doily, not stitched fully down, in case I wanted to add something there. But I kind of like the idea of having 3, just because I like that idea. It's just my way of thinking about things. And they can overlap a bit. And they're right on the edge of this bit of old quilt. They've got a little bit of that mustardy colour, which I've got in the fabrics, and a bit of the orangey colour. So they're all, 3 different kind of shades really. But there was a gap here. There was just a bit of tablecloth in there, and it's still in there. So I don't know what else might go here yet. But I'm thinking that they're going to fill that little gap up, and I quite like 3. So I'm going to pin it there, keep looking at it, thinking about it, and like I said, I don't like it, unpick it. It's not the end of the world. It's not like it's got to be there forever. But I also thought this bigger doily here might be quite nice. I've just got to be careful not to go too far over the edge here, because that's the edge of the quilt. You still can't see there. Now, that's the edge of the quilt there, and I'm humming and hawing. I was going to turn the whole thing over. That's the hem of the tablecloth, and I was going to turn the whole thing over, but then I thought actually that bit of green edging, so I'm thinking of halving it, which just means it'll fold over to the back and catch that in, which is what I want it to do. But rather than add an extra piece of binding, if I just have this going right to the edge, but I don't want it to hang over too much, so I just need to make sure that it's not going to do that. What I might do is start pinning from this edge here, and then I might have to re-tuck those in. Yeah, cool. All right, well, I think I can leave you to it. You've probably got enough of an idea now of where I'm headed with it, and I've got an idea where I'm headed with it too. Cool. All right, thanks for tuning in. Lovely to have your company, and I'll talk to you again sometime next week. Okay, bye for now.